Good evening. This is Tuesday, October 7th, 2025 at 6:07. This meeting will be conducted in person in the Sanford City Council chambers via the remote video and teleconference pursuant to 1 MRSA Section 403B2D and Section 6 of the Sanford City Council Rules of Procedures. Members of the public may join the meeting in person or remotely using the information posted on the meeting calendar and the city's website. Members of the public may also submit comments via the website under government/city council/contact the council. Would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And would you please join me for a moment of silence? And now for roll call. Deputy Mayor Herlihy. Council Martell.
Present.
Council Hitchcock.
Present.
Council Trench-Montagne.
Present.
Council Hanselman.
Present.
Council Stackpole.
Present.
And I am Mayor Brink, also present, our City Manager Steve Buck and Executive Administrator Larissa Ricketts. And for the minutes, approve the minutes from the regular City Council meeting held on September 16th, 2025. May I have a motion, please? Ann?
So moved.
And a second, Pete?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you. In order to approve the minutes from the executive session of the City Council meeting held on September 16th, 2025. May I have a motion, please? Nate?
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Second? Ann?
And I would second that.
All those in favor? Thank you. And I believe there were no subcommittee report, and I do have just a few things from the mayor. First of all, there was a group that of volunteers who were armed with trash bags last week, who their mission was to clean up Central Park. So whoever was a part of that group, thank you very much. We really appreciate your doing that. And that's when it's good that people see a need and they take action. So thank you. Also, the Sanford Water District was proud to announce that it has been awarded the Covenant New England's best title in the New England Water Works Association drinking water taste test held last week. So Sanford took home both top honors, the Judges Award and the People's Choice Award. So Sanford's water is with the best. So thank you for all the Water District's hard work. And now for the City Manager's report and the Homeless Task Force.
Thank you. Several quick items here this evening. We received notification that the city will receive a check in the amount of $90,817. This is a state reimbursement to municipalities to offset the increase in municipal expense under general services. So it was for the fiscal year 2024. They're playing catch up with us. We're grateful to have the funds, but I do note when I look at the utilization in the first quarter of this year, and project that forward, the 90,000 just about covers the shortfall that's being projected right now. So, one of the first items that will impact us for the federal shutdown in the short term is we received notice from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services that they're putting a 10-day hold on all claims filed. We can continue to file our claims for our ambulance billing and such, but it's put under a hold. I don't understand the 10-day delay. We will get paid for those once the government is back up and operational, but they put that process in place. Portsmouth Naval Shipyard, economic impact. We have that study that has come back to us. I remember somebody used to do some really nice pie charts. Yeah, I don't have the pie charts. So, but numbers of note in there, I noted that the total shipyard payroll was $1,615,239,781. Of that, the main payroll was $433,232,000 and change to 4,585 employees. And Sanford Springvale, again, has the highest payroll of 51,298,000 to 573 employees of any Maine or New Hampshire town. So the shipyard is of great importance to our city and the defense contracts associated with it. Maine Department of Transportation has given us notice. As many of us are aware, there's a section of 202 Lebanon Road that has extreme washboarding in the pavement out there. The signage should be out there. If not now, it should be out there shortly. They're coming on October 13th to mill and fill that. So they'll mill that out and then repave it. So that's near Jellison Road and Redcoat Lane. The Homeless Task Force, our group continued to meet this week with a focus on developing the agenda for this December 3rd, where we'll meet with our York County legislators. We'll be advocating with our legislators on housing, shelter services, impacts to general assistance, and the unhoused substance use disorder individuals. York County-wide group met first, so Carter Friend, Executive Director of York County Community Action, he calls a York County-wide with the managers and various servicing agencies. We discussed the December format and the proposed agenda there first, and then our task force met the hour after that. So the major topics will be housing as a continuum and a legislative recap on the past legislative session, so we can note that there were some positive series of fundings that went into gap funding for rental assistance in other areas. We'd like to talk about those as being very positive and encourage more of the same. There will be a review of impacts upon general assistance. We had a presentation made to us here a short while ago of the large volume of legislative bills that were introduced in the long session, the last session around general assistance, none of which passed. There seems to be still a common recognition that the state needs to ramp up to 90% reimbursement as opposed to the 70% now. So we're going to do a recap on those, but we're striving now to, most of the communities, at least here in York County, use a program called WellPAC. So we're working with WellPAC now to see how we can get 5 years worth of data. So look at what's changed over this last 5-year period, especially as we swept through COVID. I know that we're going to see a significant change in the amount of resources that go specifically to housing versus the food vouchers and other supplies. And then we're also trying to break that down by age demographics and other demographics such as male, female, but most importantly by age groups, because what we're seeing in there's an older demographic that's coming in for the first time that wasn't present earlier. So trying to disclose that, raise awareness, and then the last piece will be the resource gaps that we know that exist around substance use disorder and behavioral health for the chronically unhoused people. And we have something that we'll deal with that more on the agenda later tonight. The Overdose Task Force met the week prior on October 2nd to review the medical study from Somerset County Jail System. They have a strong incarcerated treatment program there that uses a product called Sublocade. Sublocade is a 30-day injectable that eradicates the addiction to opioid substances, opioids and fentanyl. And pursuant to that study, and the physician that was part of that study was actually presenting for us there at the task force. Their treatment program was 3 times more successful than other programs. So we thought that was a significant statistics. We've been talking in our group about how here in York County, there could be a structured release program that would capitalize on some of those findings, as well as further improve the incarcerated treatment here in the York County judicial system, so in the jail system. One of the probably disappointing points was there's a problematic period there. If somebody's incarcerated for less than a week, this treatment doesn't work because they haven't been in withdrawal long enough. And the danger zone is like the case study that we looked at starting out on this. The individual was jailed for 4 days. Their body dropped down in resistance, came back onto the street, must have gone back into taking opioids again, and was dead within the day. So we use that case study as our foundation for why it is that we're talking about this. I did put in the back of the manager's report, there's a paragraph summing up, I think, one of the key points. It says, substance use disorder is common among the incarcerated population in the U.S. According to the 2016 National Inmate Survey, 47% of adults in state and federal corrections facilities met criteria for substance use disorder. Further, individuals with opioid use disorder are overrepresented in correctional facilities due to the connection between opioid misuse and their use disorder and the criminal justice involvement. That really gets down to the heart of what we've been talking about as of late. So, again, a very good study. I provided a link to the study. It's well worth reading. If you don't have the time to read it, do as I did. I read the report, but drop it into ChatGPT and get a 3-page summary. It's phenomenal. So, and that's all I have for you this evening. Thank you.
Excellent. Any comments or questions? All right. Thank you very much. And now, under communications and presentations, presentation of a plaque to the City of Sanford from Maine Town and City Clerks Association. Steve, I'm going to be turning this over to you.
So each year, the Maine Town City Clerks Association elects a municipal clerk in the state to serve as its president for the year.
I think they can hear you.
So each year, the Maine Town and City Clerks Association elects a municipal clerk within the state to serve as the president of the association. At its recent annual meeting, the Maine Town City Clerks Association membership voted Sanford's own city clerk, Sue Cody, to the position of president. The city and the city clerk are being presented with a plaque to thank us for our support of the association. Again, we're very fortunate to have Sue as our city clerk, and even more fortunate for Sue to be presented with the presidency.
I had too much spare time on my hands.
So the plaque reads, with appreciation to the City of Sanford for its generous support of the Maine Town and City Clerks Association and Sue Cody, Town Clerk, Maine Town City Clerks Association President, 2025 to 2026. Say anything?
I have no prepared speech. I am honored by the association to allow me to serve as the president for the next year. I have many fabulous clerks that have preceded me over the years. A lot of them are retired now, but there's a small few out there. One of my personal mentors, Kathy Monteo, the Lewiston City Clerk, who served, probably close to 20 years ago as the association's president, but she continues to be involved and has moved up through the New England Association and the International Clerks Association. She served as one of the directors for Region 1, which covers all of New England and the state of New York. I'm not sure that I'm ready to run and fill in her shoes and take on those big roles, but I'll start down here at the small level and see where it leads. And I've begun instructing some classes for the Maine Town and City Clerks Association. So all the years I've been doing this clerk stuff, 37 and a half years, just to spew some of the things out of my brain and share it with the many new clerks across the state and reassure them that, you know, this is a very rewarding profession, and there's nothing like, earlier today I had a customer call and was trying to renew their registration online. Anytime there's a plate change from the time they've renewed in our office till comes renewal time, and if they've changed their plates, got a vanity plate or a different class, the records don't connect well, so they run into an issue and they can't renew online. Customer called, said, what can I do? I said, well, give me your plate number. We looked it up. I found the old matching registration with the old passenger plate, matched it to the one with the new vanity specialty plate. I said, I'll download and I'll upload a new file to Rapid Renewal. In half an hour, you'll be able to do your registration online. Oh, that's awesome, you're great. And I'm like, just something I can do in the computer, and you rock, you've made my day, and I'm so happy. When somebody says I've made their day, it just gives me all warm and fuzzy inside. And that's why I come to work every day, to make people smile and help them out the best I can. So now I get to do it across the state too.
Well, Sue, they're very lucky to have you in this role, because we know from what you do here, you do an excellent job. You always go, you push, and you push, and you push, and you make sure everything gets done correctly. So we really appreciate that, and I know they're going to love to have you at that level too. So thank you for being willing to serve.
You're welcome, and thank you for supporting me and allowing me the time away that I have to do presidential duties. Yeah.
Any questions or comments? All right. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And now we'll move on to public participation, and that's typically stuff that's not on our agenda, so I don't, nothing on that list? Okay. So there's no hands up? All right, so. Yeah, unless it's on the agenda. So what is your topic?
I just want to know just about the security camera stuff is probably along on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
The flock?
I will be moving to put it on the agenda for reconsideration as part of the next motion, but it would have
Okay.
to pass, so you probably should let him speak now, potentially.
Okay, so why don't you come down and speak now? Now, we need your name and where you live, and then we'll give you some time.
Sure. My name is Alex Clary. I recently bought a home on 118 Mount Hope Road. Dear members of the City Council, I do federal policy work here in Maine, so I'm no stranger to looking it over a new contract with a vendor based on what it might offer a municipality. But I've just come to speak out because I feel working with a company like Flock Safety at this time is a bit premature and not a great priority for the city moving forward. I mostly have come to this opinion just because as far as surveillance technology platforms go, Flock Safety so far hasn't really shown to be a robust one that I think is ready for the large municipal rollout that we've seen across the country. Mostly, I think that is because they have a lot of vulnerabilities that put our data at risk, but also they've had issues with the reliability of their own platform. If you weren't aware, which I'm sure you guys are well aware at this point, it's an Amazon Web Service based platform, which means the data is hosted elsewhere. Amazon Web Services just recently had the Ticketmaster scandal. That was 40 million records released, and that was because of an issue from that company. So it has happened before, and it could happen again with this data. I think also we've had a few issues of them breaking data sharing agreements, and they're currently under investigation by the state of Illinois for issues with the municipality of Oak Island in breaking Illinois state law, in which Flock admitted that they basically hadn't set up enough policies yet to manage. This was an issue with a federal request, but basically to put in compliance of state and federal laws. So I feel as someone who works in the federal bureaucracy, it shows that this is a kind of premature for them to roll out. They aren't ready to hold up to legal scrutiny. They've had issues of misidentifying individuals. One resulted recently, I believe it is Oklahoma, where the car was misidentified as stolen, and a woman bringing her daughter to the park was met with police officers who did pull weapons on them. And I think those are serious incidents that we have to consider in what is a new technology. And it comes at a time when we live in the state with the second highest safety in the nation. We do have issues, and we do have a higher property crime rate than maybe we would like. But I mean, credit card delinquencies are going up. We're seeing more repossessions, more evictions. All indicators say we're moving into recession. I don't think this is the priority that we need to focus on. You guys touched on general assistance. I go to the state meetings on general assistance. There's been so much pushback in any expansion to your municipality's support from the state for general assistance claims, and those claims are going to keep going up. So I think that would be a much better use of resources rather than continue a contract with a company who really just hasn't proved that they are that reliable. So I would reconsider you at least look at other vendors because they are one who currently are under legal investigation for a violation of the law, and also consider what are the priorities of Sanford moving into fiscal year 26. Thank you.
Sorry, my speaker. Here we go. Diane Conley?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I wasn't prepared to speak tonight, but I thought I should. I'd like the idea of you to reconsider your vote from last week, or last couple of weeks. I do know a little bit about the flock system because of the police members in my family. All I will say is it's always a step behind. And to me, it's just not good business here. We don't need it. We don't need the problem with ICE in town. I do not like this data sharing and, who's going to get this information? Who's allowed to get it? These are some of the things I'd like you to do some more research on it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, now for old business.
Would you like me to, since this is timely?
Yes.
So, Madam Mayor, under Section 25 of our Rules of Procedure, I'd like to request a reconsideration of a vote that we passed at our last regular City Council meeting on September 16, 2025. I did vote in the majority, so I am in the rights of making this motion. I'd like to consider item 25-29, or reconsider item 25-296-01. The order was to approve a 60-day trial of the flock camera system and authorize the police chief to look into funding options for potential continuation beyond the trial period. So my motion is to add this to the agenda as a reconsideration.
Okay, and so we'd be putting that on the bottom. We need a second from somebody who also voted positive. So Ann?
And I would second that, Madam Mayor.
And do we vote on that?
5 members would have to add it to the agenda. It would have to be 5 people adding it to
Okay,
the
so any discussion before do we discuss
This
this?
is just about adding it to the agenda at this point.
Just adding, okay. So all those in favor of putting it on the agenda? All right. We'll get to that at the end, so thank you. Our meeting isn't that long, so if you want to still stay, please feel free to do so. All right. Under new business now, in order to authorize the city manager to implement a master agreement and department agreement for the purchase and implementation of a new Motorola computer aid dispatch CAD system in partnership with the York County Sheriff's Department and the towns of Berwick, Kennebunk, North Berwick, South Berwick, and signed by consumer agreement and notice to proceed. Steve, I'm going to turn this over to you, I assume?
Okay. We have our dispatch director here as well tonight, Darcy Valito. In your packet is a timeline that talks about the process that was undertaking, starting back in July of 2024. They worked with all, I think the important part, they worked with all agencies here in York County so that all of the dispatch centers in making a selection for a computer-aided dispatch product would be selecting the same product. So they went through a competitive RFP process. There was a number of vendors that submitted to that. They did an extensive search and scrutiny on those. They did interviews. They went out and did demonstrations on various sites of the various products and such under that. They then narrowed it down for all of the York County groups, and then within our own dispatch center, we had the meetings here as well to ensure that everybody was all on board with going to the same product, which is the Motorola Spillman product that's here before us tonight. From there, we then went into the specific negotiations with Motorola Spillman for the master agreement that's in your packet tonight. So I'm asking for authorization for you to give me authorization to sign that master agreement on behalf of our dispatch center. And then each one of our dispatch partners, entities that we dispatch for that have a police department, they'll have an individual contract, and our individual contract is in here, and I'm asking for authorization on that as well. The important part is the master cost of the software is broken out across a 10-year lease across all of these departments, and each department is charged the same on a per uniformed officer basis. So our cost per officer versus Buxton or anybody else, South Berwick and whatnot, it's all the same within our dispatch center. York County itself pays the same per capita for their sheriff uniformed officers, plus they carry the software for the jail package as well, the warrants. So that is the quick synopsis of what's in your packet. I'm not sure as far as the timeline. We're still working on the timeline as far as installation, when it'll take place and such. We have to work through that as to who they're going to be doing in York County first. I never really want to be the first. I want to get the kinks out with somebody else and work out and then come to us perhaps second. All of our dispatch partners, it's been a great process. They all agreed upon the same package. So within this, because each municipal police department is billed independently, they could choose more components within the packaging or less components within the packaging. To my knowledge, everybody has chosen the same packaging. So we're all, and the other dispatch centers have done the same. So it really was a tremendous process to see that we'll have that compliancy across York County. That, you know, the CAD information will be compliant across all of York County, which is of great value for all of us working within this region. So are there any questions? Again, Darcy is here this evening. Darcy and Dan can answer questions. They were instrumental. They were the lead two in this process. I want to thank York County for Greg Zinzer and York County for being the consolidator that took this upon to work a York County-wide process so that all of our dispatch centers could come to the common conclusion. Dan and Darcy were leads in that whole process. So,
Any questions?
We're all anxious and excited that the process is finally completed because we know how antiquated the system is.
Seems like we've heard about this for a long time.
Yes. We
Jonathan?
appreciate your hard work. Thank you.
Yeah, similar sentiments. This has been in the process for quite some time and seems to be much needed. So thank you for all the hard work.
All right, so I need a motion for approval on the Motorola CAD customer agreement, shared agency agreement, and the notice to proceed. So Nate?
I'll move to authorize the city manager to implement the master agreement to get the Motorola CAD system.
Thank you. There were two parts. Did we get the second part of that for you, Steve? Okay. And Pete, second?
Second.
All those in favor? Thank you.
well, if you can
Have fun
also
with the
address the
implementation.
shared agency, right? If we could address the shared agency and give our police chief the authorization to sign on the city's behalf for the shared agency addendum.
Nate?
So moved.
Pete?
Second.
All those in favor? I like efficiency.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. All right. Next on the agenda is an order to authorize the city manager to enter an agreement with the Sanford Post Office to allow parking for up to 10 post office vehicles in the municipal parking lot on School Street, including during overnight hours for a period of up to 6 weeks, starting October 19, 2025, in order to accommodate construction work being done at the post office with stipulations for action that must be taken should there be a winter snow event. I don't believe we're getting any snow this year, just in case people are wondering. So far, it's not working for us.
According to my mother, the almanac says we're going to get lots of snow.
Lots of
so
snow?
It's going to be a battle
Okay.
between the two of
All
them.
right, well, we didn't get any rain, so we got to have a lot of snow. Steve, is anybody reporting out on this?
I can report out on so for the School Street parking lot, there's no overnight parking allowed there
Yeah.
unless the city council authorizes that.
So that's why it's before us.
I believe the postmaster is here this evening as well. Okay, if you want to come forward and just speak as to the need and what the renovations are going to be in the anticipated period of time, please.
Yeah, so my name is Matt. Some of you may recognize me. Delivered to the city hall, town hall for many years. So basically, the post office is having the rear dock renovated completely, which currently we park maybe 8 trucks in front of that dock. So that dock will be, we'll have to have those trucks out of there for these, I'm sorry, so there's a second dock that we're going to be using. And the trucks, our post office trucks will need to be away from that second dock so we can take, basically Amazon can drop off to us starting probably like at 4 a.m. So we need that alleyway there. The other thing they want to do at the same time is renovate the backside of the building as well, where we have an exit entrance with 2 ramps. It's basically like this. We can go down both sides, but they're very extreme pitches. So they want to basically renovate that for one gradual pitch, so it's a lot more safer for the carriers to push their hampers out to the trucks. So what we're asking is to be able to park across the street, and hopefully we will get no snow, and it won't be an issue. But if there is an issue with snow removal, one of us, myself included, is usually there around 5:30 in the morning, and we can get the trucks out of there within 15 minutes. Hopefully, it's not going to be much of a problem. I'm hoping that the trucks don't need to be there for more than a couple weeks. We just need to get the dock squared away, and then I can double park trucks at the dock. Just for the time being, right now, we have to keep it wide open so we can have our deliveries from the plant trucks and the Amazon trucks.
All right, well, thank you. Any questions? Jonathan?
So in the unlikely event of snow, is there a designated part of the parking lot that is planned to be used to minimize impacts?
I will just bring the trucks back over to our parking lot. Technically, I'll have room for the trucks, but they will be in the way of everything else going on there. So, if it's something that they need to be staged in our lot until the carriers come in and actually go out to the street with the trucks, I'm just looking for pretty much like that 3 hours in the morning, from like, I don't know, probably from like 5 to 8. If we put them overnight over there, it's mainly because we get the 4 a.m. drops, and we'll need, I'll need all that space cleared out before, so our 4 a.m. truck can get in.
Yeah, I have no problem letting you guys using it. I was just thinking, would it make sense to figure out what would be a good corner in case there's an overnight?
In the School Street, on the School Street side?
Yeah, I just hope you've had conversations with, the.
I think they've already had conversations at
Yeah, I
this
spoke
level.
with Larissa about, we were gonna just so our clerks currently do park over there, and sometimes they're there as early as 2 a.m. But we would basically the trucks would face the post office. They would just run that one line, right from our mailbox all the way down.
Yeah, as long as they're all kind of in one spot and the plows can work around them if they need to.
Yeah, I mean.
That's my only concern.
Hopefully, like we said.
Don't worry, Jonathan will be there to help dig them out, right?
I can go pick them up in the morning if he needs me to.
All right, we need a motion, please. Pete?
I motion to set this forward.
Okay, second. Jonathan?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? All right,
Much appreciated.
glad we could help.
Yes.
All right. Next, resolve to appoint Oh, gosh. Okay. Resolved to appoint City Manager Steve Buck as the Sanford's official avoiding representative at the Maine Municipal Association Annual Meeting to be held on Wednesday, October 8th, and we're getting this in just in time, 2025, at the MMA Annual Convention in Bangor, Maine, my hometown. Perfect. Could I have a motion, please? Nate?
Motion to approve the appointment.
Second, Jonathan?
I'll second that.
Any questions, concerns? Yes, Jonathan?
I just want to thank Steve for being willing to serve. It is a drive. And I'm sure it's a fairly.
It's only 3 hours.
Time commitment, so I do appreciate that, so thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hopefully I get your vote of confidence because there's nothing they're voting on this year, so.
It's a perfect
So it's a
workshop.
vacation.
Oh, the minutes from last year, I'm sorry.
All those in favor? All right. Okay, for those people, this is your first time at these meetings. This really isn't our norm, so just to let you know. Right, guys? The Amazon packages being delivered. The next is an order to approve a 4-year contract extension with Revised LLC with costs to include website updates, annual hosting, maintenance, and support, and biannual compliance scans and remediation. Okay. Is that you again, Steve?
I guess it is. We have our communications coordinator here tonight as well, Megan. So the city council has seen a bit of this before in our workshop last week? Yes, last week. And is it April 27 or 26?
So it's 27 for the smaller communities, it's 26 for the.
Okay,
So we-
all right, thank you. So, without getting into color schemes or logos or any of that nature, we are coming forward tonight with a revised contract and asking for the approval of that. We need to renew the revised contract anyways, but in this contract is a specific segment, I forget the dollar amount, it's about $4,000 to do the upgrades to our website. So those should be done every 4 years, but with this round of renewing our website comes a new level of federally required from the Department of Justice, federal requirements under the ADA, specific to adding alt text that describes any picture that's on a website, the PDF component. I don't quite pretend to understand why our PDFs aren't compliant, but they won't read well and such into that. So there is a page-by-page reconstruction of the website that needs to take place. We have until April of 2026 as a larger community to meet that compliance. The urgency that I feel on this is that people are booking up Revise rapidly, so we want to get in on the ground floor, get that work done. We will come back to you. We're still working on the color schemes and such, so we'll go into that. But there's a large amount of work that can get done on determining the level of conversion, what's going to be archived, not archived, remapping the site, making determinations as to how that's going to change and flow long before we get into the color scheme and the redesign of any city logo or anything else associated with it. So,
Megan, you don't want to challenge that tonight? We had so much fun the other night doing that. Okay, any questions? Jonathan?
So, a couple questions. Are we tied to a 4-year contract? Can we make some changes to that? And then I think you did mention we've looked at other options, correct? This seems like it's awfully expensive for what we're getting, honestly, but maybe that's the going rate.
well, we went through the competitive process before, and also went through the process of looking at the quality of the website and the hosting. We do get the free upgrade as part of this, but what's not in there, that additional cost of the $3,750, is that money to meet this new federal compliancy, because that's a concerns as far as the overall revised contract. I mean, that's the only thing that's changed in here, is that one component. This is our standard and normal fees that we've been paying.
Same company we've been using?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you for clarifying.
Any other questions? Diane Conley?
Yeah, I may be off the mark with this, but with the revise, with the mapping part of it, is that anywhere in conjunction with going in with the GIS? Because there are things missing on the GIS that need to be changed up, i.e. with the compass system that doesn't show up. And I was wondering if this is the time to add it.
No, that's a different program. That's not under.
Okay.
this.
All right, I just wanted to ask. Thank you.
That's good, Diane. Keep us on our toes. All right, can I have a motion, please? Jonathan?
You saw that. Motion to move this forward with the updated contract.
Ann, a second?
And I would second that.
All right, all those in favor? Thank you. And in order to adopt the proclamation in recognition of Constitution Week and the Rebecca Emery chapter of the National Society of the Daughters of America Revolution is requesting Sanford's active participation in this year's celebration of the United States Constitution 238th anniversary. The DARE is a nonprofit volunteer service program. So I'm going to have Maura read the proclamation.
I'll make a motion and read the proclamation, to adopt the proclamation and read it at the same time. Whereas the Constitution of the United States of America, the guardian of our liberties, embodies the principles of limited government in a republic dedicated to rule by law. And whereas September 17, 2025 marks the 238th anniversary of the framing of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate it, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America designating September 17 through 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Becky Brink, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Sanford and the state of Maine, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed us through this guardian of our liberties. In witness whereof, I have hereto set my hand and cause the seal of the town city to be affixed this 7th of October of the year of our Lord, 2025.
Thank you very
You're
much. Can I have a motion, please? Bob? Oh, she first. Bob second. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Maura, for reading
Little
that.
delayed.
And we're going to be is there a place we typically post that? Because I know they said about posting it. In there? Okay. All right, thank you very much. The next on our agenda is in order to adopt a city council resolution to address the impacts of reoccurring substance abuse disorder and urging the state of Maine to reform drug laws, restore accountability, and support community safety and recovery. And I'm going to turn this over to Steve, please.
Okay, this seems to be a topic that's lived here on a daily basis. Before I get into the long-winded explanation on this, really what's occurring here is a recognition. So if you go all the way back to when the city started a concerted effort to address homelessness, we had one police officer, he's now our police chief, but we had one police officer at the time that was going out in the streets, out into the parking lots, out into the woods, meeting with individuals that were unhoused, sleeping in tents at that point in time, making one-to-one contact with them, offering services, connecting them to services, getting their needs met, and then when the trust was there, many times they would take services, they'd become housed, and the situation was corrected. That started around 2016. From there, we progressed into getting authorization to develop a mental health unit within the police department. That at its height, we had 4 individuals in there, 2 uniformed officers, one licensed clinical social worker that we employed, plus a second that came through us through a state, the main options agreement that came to us through the state. Again, that was focused on community outreach, dealing with a plethora of individuals that were unhoused for varying reasons, be it economic, other circumstances beyond their control, as well as people with mental health and/or substance use disorder. Over that period of time, we developed the Homeless Task Force. Great strides were made in further coordinating the efforts with our partnering agencies that I can't thank them enough for the cooperation and the service that we get out of that. The Housing Navigation Group that meets on a weekly basis to assign resources and make it available and house individuals. I know of 2 that were housed just this week alone because of that process. So through that, especially coming out of COVID, when a lot of people had received emergency housing funds and such under that, and were up in hotels and various other living arrangements, coming out of that was really a devastating time. And that was about in the same period of time when the asylum seekers hit. So there was such a demand on services to house people that we really honed the skills, right, and improved those partnerships. So hang on to all of that success. Fast forward to the current point in time where we have recognized there's a point of diminishing rate of returns. And what do I mean when I say that? We have a certain population of individuals within our community that the recidivism is causing significant public health and safety hazards within our community. We have individuals that are going outside of the legal system, outside of the medical systems, refuse resources, refuse services that are just in this constant churn. You can see them in our parks, you can see them on our streets. So at this juncture in time, we're taking a concerted approach to recognize, just a moment, please. Sorry about that. A concerted effort to recognize what can we do differently that will produce better results than what's taking place currently. A starting recognition of that, is working with our police department. We recognize the impacts in the community. We've been impacted by abuse in the parks, loitering in the crosswalks and the mediums, blocking of the sidewalks, sleeping on the sidewalks, criminal trespass in public and private properties, disorderly conduct, indecent conduct, public drinking, possession of scheduled drugs, syringe waste. All of those in the memorandum that's in the packet, the specific laws that those pertain to have been called out. We can recognize that from 2016 through to current, that there has been a depletion, a diminishment of the ability to enforce on many of those laws because the legislature has backed some of those down. They've increased what you can possess for drugs, the amount that you can possess for drugs, what you can have for syringes, other paraphernalia, that's changed in the laws. The Good Samaritan laws that pertain to if an overdose is called in, EMS and police department respond to that particular location. There's a whole host of, of individuals there. Paraphernalia is out, drugs are out, people are on drugs and everything else. The overdose is recognized, is treated, hands off, you walk out. You can do nothing else. So there's been a lot of change. A lot of that change occurred during the COVID period of time. During COVID, there was a larger number of people unhoused for varying reasons. The Attorney General, in cooperation with the state legislature, he didn't do that on his own, put forward what's called the Homeless Protocol. There was a standardized template for the Homeless Protocol that was put out there. All police departments during that period of time were mandated to adopt a homeless protocol, the homeless protocol. We originally adopted the homeless protocol put forward by the AG until we read the law more fully, that it didn't say we had to adopt that specific homeless protocol, but we had to have a protocol. The protocol that we use now in our police department is approved and was sanctioned by and was part of our MLEAP certifications. In those homeless protocols, it recognizes the various laws that I had referenced earlier, that if you engage, if the police department engages with somebody and they identify as homeless, you change your treatment of how you address whatever they might be up against pursuant to that protocol. The legislature also in that same period of time diminished the ability to enforce certain laws that we were using before. So with that recognition, this resolution that we're going to talk about in a moment starts to address that diminishment of the ability of our police officers to enforce. It's going to talk about the need to improve incarcerated treatment, especially on the short term. The recidivism that I reference is we will have individuals that are appropriately arrested, brought to court, may have as many as 23 bail conditions, violations on their record, and they're back on the street in a matter of hours. We have individuals that are taken from medical assessment and treatment under what they call PC charges because there is no capacity for beds for the substance use or mental health beds. They're not blue papered, they're not assigned anywhere, they're back on the street within hours. This is the churn that we talk about. These are the impacts that we see. The frustration kicks in within our law enforcement, our EMS providers, and myself included, when the underlying cause is not being addressed, the underlying cause being substance use disorder. So people constantly refer to the population that I'm talking about here specifically tonight in that, Steve, they're homeless, they're unhoused. Yes, they are. Why do they continue to be unhoused? Because they refuse services, they refuse treatment. Their addiction is a greater concern to them than being housed. And then people will say, but you have to be housed in order to get your mindset around being able to take assistance. So it's this constant yin and yang, the back and forth, the recidivism that constantly repeats itself, where the substance use disorder, the underlying cause of what we're talking about with a specific population, is lesser addressed. The harm reduction programs that are recognized in here were attached to diversionary programming. So under the homeless protocol, you would take a different stance. You take somebody to jail, they'd be offered diversionary services, i.e. go into a medically assisted treatment program, such as Layman's Way, which is closed, right? Only if they're in a longer term incarceration is incarcerated treatment part of the option program. So we recognize here in the resolution that the harm reduction that was being strove for under the homeless protocol is not being accomplished because the availability of diversionary services is not there. We lack that capacity as a state. We really lack the capacity here in York County, at least until such time as the new center, which is under construction now, comes on board next June or July. So all of those elements are recognized within this resolution, and the resolution is designed that if the council approves of the resolution in the format that it does, hopefully it's been drafted in such a way that it's not pointing fingers at any entity, at any aspect, other than asking for the state legislature for recognition that what has been occurring in the last number of years is not producing the end results that we desire to have. They've diminished greatly because the remaining population that's out there that resists all forms of treatment or services is in this constant churn, just overturning on a continuous basis. So that's my longer-winded explanation of where this resolution comes from. And if you want to get into the resolution, we can. So
I'll see if they have any questions. All right, do you guys have any questions or concerns or any comments? Ann?
Madam Mayor, is now the time to discuss a small addition to the resolution, or is that, okay, Steve's saying yes, but, okay. I think it's really well done and thoughtful, and I appreciate the time that's gone into it. I don't know that we address specifically, and I do feel like it would be a good addition, the extreme first responder fatigue that we're experiencing in our community, which I'm sure is happening in others. And it seemed to me in that last whereas of the resolution, which I'm sure we'll read probably, but that we could potentially add, if there was agreement on it, right after repeat offenses without end, to me segues well to the fact that our first responders are experiencing that extreme fatigue. And there may be a better word than fatigue that includes frustration, but that's what came to mind when I was looking at it, is just that fatigue. And then I just want to comment that this resolution comes after years, right? Years of people in our community, and we have some big examples of that on York Street, North Ave, Heritage Way, and so many other community members who have come up to speak to us about their concern about drug issues in our community tied in with the homeless issues. And so it comes after, just as Steve really said well, so much time and concern expressed by our citizens. And tonight, literally at this meeting, I got a message from a neighbor who was witnessing a drug deal in front of her house, called dispatch, and was told, we don't have any officers available to come by. And this is not a dig at our officers by any means. It's a recognition that they are so busy, right, in our community, and that we don't have the resources to respond to a active drug deal in front of a house in our community. And I'm just hopeful that this will make our folks in Augusta really think about some change that we need to help us at the local level. Thank you.
Could we clarify which is the one you wanted and what do you want it to say?
I think it fits well, if others are in agreement, the last whereas. So whereas main communities, including Sanford, bear the costs of these state policies and law reductions in the form of overdoses, repeat offenses without end. And then I would add right there, because I think it ties in well, extreme first responder fatigue or something similar. Does that?
All right.
I just don't think we recognize the first responder.
Do we have to vote? Is that like an amendment to this, or we just add that to the?
Well, we haven't
voted on it
haven't made
yet.
a motion yet, so we could say, we could vote for the proclamation with
the addition.
adjustments.
As amended,
right,
Okay.
With adjustments.
All right. Any other comments? Pete?
It's been 2.5 years coming for me, fighting the open drug abuse. You feel calls from parents that they have to have these conversations with their kids that are 7 years old, kindergarten, 5, 4. This is enough. Businesses want to break their leases where there's problems with this, so we have to act. This is what people voted for us, and now we're acting. We had to find out what our powers were, and we found out what they were, and this is a direct result. So I'm very proud of all the work that all the homeless task force, our city manager and assistant city manager put. I don't even know how many hours you guys put into this with all of us complaining and trying to find out what we can do to protect our citizens from a very small population that's here. So this is where we're at, and I 100% approve of all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah, I could. So here's, as your city manager, here's where my comfort level is on this. If we as a city had not taken all of the proactive steps that we have around housing people on a broad continuum of reasons why they've been unhoused, and again, I thank all of our agency partners to that regard. If we had not established the most recent overdose task force as well that really looked at and studied this issue that we're talking about in the resolution here tonight, where we have our district attorney sitting at the table, we have the jail sitting at the table, the sheriff's department, we have the manufacturers of Sublocade sitting in our meetings talking about the efficacy of their drug and their treatment. We had the physician that did the case study for Somerset County jail system, where they achieved 3 times better results in that incarcerated treatment system, sitting at our table, trying to come up with common solutions because I call it the downstream. So we have officer fatigue here trying to deal with this recidivism population. And why do we have that fatigue? Because there are elements downstream of them making an appropriate arrest that lacks either the cognizance, the capacities, changes in the system, adhering with state law, but I say to you, state law needs to be re-examined and rethought. Again, it's easy to armchair quarterback with hindsight. We know that there has been certain actions now that have not paid dividends because the harm reduction aspects have not been connected to the diversionary programming that's unavailable. So, we say this with an educated mindset, and what I strive out of this is to get simply the recognition and the dialogue going at the state level. We've done it well here within our municipality. We've spread that out to York County now. We're going to be having a meeting with our legislators in December. We'd like to get that from York County legislators into Augusta. It's not going to happen overnight, but given a resolution, if approved by the council, when I go to work with the Legislative Policy Committee for the state of Maine, or we work with our legislators, I have a position that I can voice on behalf of the city as to where our city is coming from. So with that, should we read the resolution into the record for its consideration?
Would you like Maura to read that?
Either she can or I can.
Didn't know if your voice was going to be
Yeah,
able
I'm
to.
struggling with my allergies tonight.
Maura, could you read that in? Do you have a copy of that? Are you all set?
I do. A resolution to address the impacts of recurring substance abuse, disorder, and urging the state of Maine to reform drug laws, restore accountability, and support community safety and recovery. Whereas the city has and continues to incur significant and detrimental impacts to public health and safety, fiscal resources, and property destruction associated with individuals with substance use disorder on recurring and uncontrollable levels. And whereas in recent years, Maine has enacted significant changes in drug policy and laws, including the 2016 legalization of adult use cannabis, the 2019 enactment and 2022 expansion of the Good Samaritan overdose law, which is Title 17A, Section 1111B, the 2021 legalization of the hypodermic syringe possession, and the reduction of possession of lethal drugs to misdemeanor level penalties, in many cases, RE Title 17-A, C-45, Part 2. And whereas the legislature enacted Title 17A, Section 18, directing the Maine Attorney General to issue mandatory homelessness protocols for all law enforcement agencies that limit or discourage law enforcement intervention in unlawful encampments, trespassing, and related public safety concerns for anyone identifying as homeless, leaving municipalities with fewer options to address the health and safety impacts of encampments and abuse of public property on residents, businesses, and vulnerable individuals. And whereas these changes were intended to promote harm reduction and treatment in extenuating circumstances of drug use at the height of homelessness, but in practice have led to increased open-air drug use, inappropriately discarded needles in public spaces, diminished accountability for drug traffickers, and repeated bail violations without recourse. And whereas the reduction of the ability to enforce previously applicable laws and enforcement actions by the courts within Title 17A, Chapter 45, drugs, is the leading cause of recidivism for a population of substance use disorder individuals, and whereas York County and the state lack the facilities for diversionary medication-assisted treatment to provide for the offer of treatment services as required by the state's mandated homelessness protocols, and whereas the York County and state legal systems do not provide for the courts to adequately provide structured reentry programming or incarcerated recovery programs for repeat offenders or violators of bail conditions, and whereas fentanyl's extreme lethality has redefined the drug crisis, yet statutory definitions of furnishing and trafficking, Title 17A, C-45, have been repeatedly revised, creating confusion, inconsistency, and unenforceability for law enforcement officers. And whereas the directive and intent for treatment, not jail, rings hollow without adequate infrastructure as Maine continues to face a severe shortage of detox beds, long wait lists for mental health services, and insufficient state-level funding for treatment. And whereas Maine communities, including Sanford, bear the cost of these state policies and law reductions in the form of overdoses, repeat offenses without end, reduced neighborhood safety, extraordinary maintenance, repair, and cleanup fees on public property, and extreme public concerns of the well-being of our city and residents. Within this paragraph, we would add the extreme fatigue of our first responders. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Sanford City Council urges the Maine legislature and governor to aid in the redress of the impacts due to substance use disorder upon our residents and our city through legislative actions to restore felony penalties for possession of lethal drugs such as fentanyl, heroin, and methamphetamine. 2, amend the Good Samaritan law to protect bystanders while ensuring accountability for traffickers and evidence preservation. 3, reform bail practices to end the revolving door of repeat offenders who violate conditions with impunity. 4, establish incarcerated recovery programs that provide detox, treatment, and structured reentry for repeat offenders. 5, invest in treatment infrastructure with same-day access to detox and mental health services. 6, fund syringe disposal and cleanup programs to address the hazards caused by legalized syringe possession or syringe service programs. 7, support co-responder models embedding social workers with, not instead of, police. 8, ensure full cooperation of state, county, and municipal law enforcement with federal authorities as partners to dismantle drug trafficking and organized crime networks. 9, provide resources for cannabis enforcement against illicit and international operations exploiting Maine's medical and adult use cannabis laws. 10, mandate transparent annual reporting linking overdoses, arrests, treatment diversion, and sentencing outcomes as evidence-based treatment towards the address of substance use disorders. Be it further resolved, the Sanford City Council calls on the state legislature to return to balance, combining compassion with accountability, investing in real treatment capacity, and restoring effective law enforcement and judicial actions to better protect all Maine communities. Adopted this 7th day of October, 2025, by the Sanford City Council.
Thank you. Can I have a motion? Oh, Ann?
Oh, I was just going to second that, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Did you
In the
first?
form of a motion, yes.
Okay. Second, all those in favor?
Before we get to the vote, I sent an email out to my fellow councilors, but just for the public's awareness, I'm going to be abstaining from this vote as I believe it presents a conflict of interest on a professional level. So on one end, I've been voted by the public to vote on things that I believe are in the best interest of the safety and security of all of our citizens. For those who don't know what I do for a living outside of this, I am a criminal defense attorney. I represent people charged with crimes, including drug offenses, in court, arguing things about whether the case can be proven and including bail arguments. And so I am governed by rules of ethics as an attorney, governed by the Board of Overseers of the Bar. And in generality, what they tell you is that you're not to act against interests of clients. While you can engage in law reform practice, the overarching thing is to not engage in activity that can affect your clients negatively. I have clients that are on bail conditions currently with substance conditions. And so by analyzing this resolution and my ethical requirements as an attorney, I believe this creates a conflict for me in the sense that I should not be voting for things that can negatively affect my clients, AKA stronger bail reform to go after people who are on bail conditions and are accused of violating them. But I shouldn't be basing, so the ethics, my attorney ethics would tell me to vote no on this, but at the same time, that's not what I was elected to do here on this board. So I think there's a professional conflict, and that's why I'm going to abstain from discussion and the vote on this.
Nate, I'm very impressed, very honorable, so thank you very much. Any other comments? Although, Pete?
Nate, I just want to say that goes under integrity, and I respect you very much. So thank you for putting Sanford first, so thank you.
All those in favor? And one abstain. Thank you. All right, Maura, I'm going to turn this part over to you about the flock, so we can have.
agenda item would be the reconsideration of 25-296-01, order to approve a 60-day trial of the flock camera system and authorize the police chief to look into funding options for potential continuation beyond the trial period. So the reason I asked for this is, and I almost voted against this in the last meeting, and I'm disappointed that I did not, because in further review of what flock, the charges it's facing, the issues they're having with the system, the illegality of some of what's happening with their system, I don't think we should be adopting it at this time. I understand the reasons for wanting a system that can catch a criminal before they create another crime, and I know there was a sensitive case in particular that the police have referred to. But I really don't think it's time for us to do this. I'm actually worried because they haven't taken the cameras down in communities that have asked for them to be down, that doing a 60-day trial will not protect us because they'll just leave the cameras up after the 60-day trial. So I'd rather just not get started at this point and push this off for further discussion, whether it's Flock or some other system, if we feel it's necessary in the future. But in many ways, I agree with the gentleman who spoke and many people who have contacted me, and I know some other counselors have done some research post the vote, and I know these three did not vote for it to begin with. So.
And I agree, this is probably the most emails I've gotten after the fact. I think people were really concerned and they took time to look up the information, so I agree more. Bob?
First of all, I don't think we have a second. We had a motion, but no second. Is that correct?
Well, I haven't had a motion. We haven't had a
motion. Oh, okay, so this is just discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So I voted in favor of the 60-day trial, and I voted for the 60-day trial to try it out. I wanted to see who came after the data, how that was handled. I was not happy with the fact that it was a centralized server, as we found out tonight, hosted by Amazon. So we, and as a result of that, what controls did we have as a municipality over where that data ultimately ended up? I have to say I wasn't happy with the chief's comments that he would share the data with whatever state or federal agency wanted access to it. That's his purview. That concerns me. If that, in fact, is what would potentially happen. And I've listened. I've listened to what everybody's had to say and what I've received for other notifications, conversations I've had with other people. And I think it was maybe said best of all, and this was something I was thinking, but I will give you credit for it. We're not ready for this technology. I think it's too soon, it's too early, there are too many unknowns, and maybe 5 years, we might be ready for something like this, but I don't think we're ready for this technology right now. So with that, I'm going to say I have changed my mind, and if we have a motion in a second, I will be voting in favor of this. Is that right?
Against Flock.
Pulling it back.
Is that how it's worded, Maura?
Order, so I've reopened the vote, essentially.
So you'd vote against
So I'd vote no this time.
I would vote
instead of
no
yes.
this
It's the same,
time.
we would be voting the same way.
Yeah, basically, we've asked,
So I
we're doing a
would be voting
reconsideration.
no on this. Yeah. Thank you.
Ann?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I want to first apologize, just personally, as a member of the Public Safety Subcommittee, to our police department, and most especially to Lieutenant Adams, who I know put a lot of time and effort into researching Flock and bringing it forward at the subcommittee and at the full council level on more than one occasion. And the apology is because I do feel badly, and I feel like I just personally failed in doing some of the due diligence that I should have done that has made me come to want to have this, agree to have this motion reconsidered. And I am in favor of LPRs. I do think that they are a force, I forget our chief's verbiage, expander, or, that they make our force more powerful without adding very expensive additional staff. I would like to see use of technology in our community to help our police department and take off some of the burden that they're facing. But I don't see Flock as a good community partner. I did a lot of research on communities that have canceled or not extended contracts with them. I actually watched other communities' city council meetings to really understand and hear it firsthand, as opposed to via newspaper articles of some of the experiences and negative experiences that other communities have had. And some of the big concerns for me also are the interjurisdiction use of Flock, where we have differing laws between states, and they can use Flock, based on their laws, which may disagree with ours here in Maine. So there's a lot with Flock itself in terms of the corporate entity that makes me not want to move forward with the 60-day trial and do some additional research, again, being in favor of LPRs and the impact to our department and the ability to protect our community. I would wonder about our Axon ability. Chief Small mentioned at the meeting, our last meeting about Flock, when was that? Sorry, now I can't see where it was. But at that meeting, the Axon has capability to have license plate readers that we're not currently subscribing to, and that would be held, that data would be presumably held just like our existing video and so forth. So I don't know if that's an area where we could explore further with a trusted partner we're already using and maybe access that resource. So I'd be in favor of doing that continued research with LPRs. But hopefully folks watching in the community, as well as our police department and those staff, understand where we're coming from.
All right. Good. Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion, wait, I wrote it down, to not approve a 60-day. I don't know if you have to motion in the positive or no. No, you don't have to, right?
Right.
We've already agreed to the reconsideration. I want to make sure.
We already agreed to reconsider.
Yeah.
Now we're just voting on the thing itself.
I'd like to make a motion that we not use the Flock camera system and remove our authorization that a 60-day trial take place in our community.
So now if we're opposed to Flock, we would vote yes, the way you just framed that.
Yes, yeah, I'm going to decline the, because the last time it was a vote to go forward with it. This time I'm making a motion to not go forward with it.
Okay.
So if we vote yes this time, we'll decline it. And I will second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion to not accept the Flock? All right, that was everyone. Thank you. All right. So I appreciate your bringing that forward more so that we could rethink that. I think that was an important thing for us
Like
to
Ann
discuss
said, it's
again.
hard to do because I do want to support our police department, but I think this might be the wrong system. I think it is the wrong system.
And I also got to learn what to do with that. That's my first one we've had to do that with, so that's good. All right, so now we're on to the end, the council member comments. Maura?
I'd like to remind everybody that tomorrow night we have a candidates night here in the chambers here. It'll be hosted by Sean Sullivan of the York County Co-Star Seacoast and Kendra Williams, who is part of the Sanford Springvale News Organization. And the only person I think I need to remind is Michelle Wilson, who is our timekeeper. But that's the easiest position to find. So if something happens and she can't make it, I'm sure I can squirrel someone in at the last moment. So basically, there will be waters on hand. We'll have nameplates. Everybody introduces themselves at the beginning. There are question and answer section that it is 100% in charge of. Sean and Kendra take care of it. I have no idea what the questions are. Nobody does except those two people right there, which is great. It keeps it it keeps the integrity intact. It is essentially run by the news organizations. We just, between Larissa and I should say, because I'm going to be asking her to do the nameplates, we put together just the little nuances. And so we'll be seeing our own Councilor Transporting, Councilor Stackpole, also joined by Logan Laughlin, Gerald Gay, and I'm going to remember.
Plant.
Charlene Plant. I was thinking Janie. No, I want her full name. So Charlene Plant, they are the 3 other people running for the city council. There were no other races that had any opposition. I have been asked to still have people from those races at future times, like not this year because we had already planned it, but maybe in the future we will still allow people to get to know the candidates even if there is no opposition. So there you go. So be on time, 6 o'clock, gentlemen and lady who are out there.
And I will be doing a State of the City report, and that is also to help some of our new people running, where they would have some background information to hopefully reflect upon some of the questions asked, so we would know how they would really stand on stuff. So I've made it long and boring, so I can fill in the gap.
Just don't put them to sleep. They have to,
Well, if they can stay awake during it, that proves that they could stay awake during our council meetings, so. All right. Any other comments, Bob?
Yeah, so request for the community to pitch in here. We've recently had some issues down by Number One Pond, and I live very close to Number One Pond, probably a football field away, maybe a football field and a half, and Ann Hanselman lives closer than that. In fact, I'm sure she could look out her living room window and look down at the encampment that was down by the pond down there. I probably had people living in the bushes across the street from me or whatever, although I never saw them, but I saw them tenting and things like that, again, within probably 100 yards of my house. And that's been cleaned up now. The little encampment is gone. The trash is in very good shape. I'm not going to say it's perfect. But you'll still see individuals spending the day down there on the benches, which is perfectly fine. They're perfectly entitled to do that. But then later, as you get towards dusk, you'll see them go around the other side of the bushes and pull out their sleeping bags and sleep on the other side of the bushes by the pond. Right now, we as a community, have that area pretty well cleaned up. And it's not just that this is an area that's close to my house. The Number One Pond is a tremendous resource for our community. It's a gem, really. And all I'm asking people to do is just go walk around the park. And if you see something that's not right, and this does come from the chief of police himself, even though we heard a report that people called and there was no response, when we were in a meeting with the chief of police last week, he said, call again, and call again, and call again. His words, eventually they'll get tired of picking up the phone and they'll dispatch somebody to deal with it. That's, in essence, the situation we're dealing with. But what I'm asking is, if you want to go for a walk, drive down to the park, go drive down to the pond, and go for a walk around the park. If you live in the neighborhood up there where Hannaford's is, go down, just sit on a bench. Be present, because I honestly believe that if we as a community are present, then some of the other, for lack of better word, shenanigans that are going on down there will cease. And so I think we need to do this as a community. We need to step up, spend some time down there. I'm not asking for anybody to engage in anything. I'm not asking people to pick up trash, which may contain hazardous waste. Be careful walking your dog down there, because we think the needles are gone, but nothing's 100%. Go down there and engage with Number One Pond, spend some time there, so on and so forth. Again, I wouldn't bring my grandchildren down there and let them play in the grass. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as adults, be present down there as much as you can. And if you're looking for something to do, just go down there enjoy the beautiful scenes down there, the bird life on the end, the wonderful things that Number One Pond does for this community. So, hoping people will step up and do that. I have started walking my dog down there again. So I stopped doing that for a while. My wife stopped doing that. But this week I started walking my dog down there again. And I think I'm going to bug the city manager here. You told me there was something dog Narcan, Steve?
Just regular Narcan.
Regular Narcan.
Just regular Narcan. And you can, so it's a good idea. I think you said you do this for your dogs. You have some Narcan. In case something happens, you can give your dog Narcan down there. This is not a great situation, but anyways, you want to take some precautions, but if we engage, I think we can move people around and get our pond back. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ann?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple quick things. One, I want to share, and maybe I'm beating Councilor Hitchcock to the punch here, but I want to share that the Sanford Library Association, better known as Goodall Library, has released a job description and job posting for our executive or library director, and we are looking forward to seeing lots of great resumes roll in and get that position filled, so that's really exciting progress there. And then I also want to share, as a class of 93 alum, that the homecoming is this week at Sanford High School. All kinds of fun games and activities going on, but of course, what we all look forward to, I don't want to say the most, but a lot, is a Friday night football game and parade. And so there is a homecoming parade. It starts at 4 p.m. The road closes at 3:30 because unlike the days when some of us were here and we did it on Main Street, they now do it kind of within campus to keep it safe and easy for our students. The road to campus closes at 3:30, so you have to be there by then. You can watch a parade, and then they're doing a really fun block party with student and athlete clubs doing activities and hosting vendors and things, and the game starts at 7 p.m. So wear your red and white as per the school department and show up on Friday for homecoming.
All I heard from that is hide from my tenant Mike so he don't get sucked into the concession stand or anything.
That too. And then just really quick clarity on my comment. I really hope nobody took that, especially, and you as well, Councilor Stackpole, as being disparaging about our police department. They have to prioritize, right? And we went through that exercise at public safety, how they respond, what they respond to. And so when that call came in from my neighbor, that wasn't the highest level of emergent response. And it's really a symptom of what we're struggling with. I do believe somebody went to the neighborhood later on, but I just want to be really clear.
And you brought that forward at the perfect time for me to use it as an example. So, I mean, the example, what I said, quoting the police chief, is very true. You don't have to call 911. I can't remember the number right now, but there's an alternative police number. I think it's on our website somewhere. And call them and call them and call them. And that's what we were told to do. So don't feel bad about doing it. So anyways, thank you.
Anyone else? Jonathan?
I just wanted to thank the members of the community that reached out about the flock cameras, provided information. And I also want to thank my the other council members for, reading the information and taking it to heart and, deciding to make a change as needed. So, none of us are perfect or have all the information, so I just appreciate everyone being open to additional information, so thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any future agenda items? Bob?
I'll try to be quicker this time. So once again, I've been walking around the community. Let me just start by saying we have banned plastic bags in our community. We don't use them in our stores anymore. But yet we allow plastic bag signs to be on our streets. If you don't know what a plastic bag sign is, go out and maybe touch some of these signs that are on the side of the street. This is not a political statement. And first of all, what I'm going to suggest is not going to change anything that has to do with the current election. I have, for the past several years, rallied against plastic bag signs. Usually large groups of people that have a statewide referendum or something like that use these plastic bag signs because they are cheap. When I was running, somebody offered to buy me a bunch of plastic bag signs. This was when I was running for the Senate. I think they're about $1 a piece, as opposed to $5 or $5.50, which is what we pay currently for the corrugated plastic signs, which don't break. But the plastic bag signs are exactly what you think. If you look at them, there's two posts, two metal posts or a hoop, and the bag goes down over those posts. So I'm sure it's very easy to set up and very easy to transport. The problem is in the later part of October and early November, right around election time, we always have these gigantic wind and rainstorms which blow these things right off their stand, and they blow them all around the community. They're up in the trees, they're in the middle of the roads, they're in the bushes, and they make a mess. And because I think, this is my opinion, it's such a large statewide movement, no one's looking over those signs, okay, and keeping them up in any way. When I get all my signs out, I've got a third of them out now, I'll drive by those signs every day to check that they're still up and they're in good place. They don't do me any good if they're in the bushes or in the gutter. That's what I do. These plastic bag signs, they seem to get set up and, you know, who knows what. So I am suggesting that we have an agenda item, or at least send it to a group for discussion, and my fellow council members can chime in on this, where we discuss banning plastic bag campaign signs, or whatever the appropriate term is, in our community, just our community. And again, that doesn't affect anything that's going to happen this year, and it's not about any particular movement that's displayed on those signs. So I'm not trying to get rid of the signs in this election cycle. I'm suggesting we proactively look to the future to try to keep these darn things that make a mess out of our community. So I don't know if you want to debate that or what you want to do, but that's where I'm at.
So you want that on a future agenda item?
Future agenda item.
Okay, good.
I say trash subcommittee,
Goes to
because
the
I'm not
trash.
on it.
Goes to the trash committee first.
We can settle that right now, can't we, Pete? Yeah? Huh?
Jonathan?
So I would like to point out that those people that put signs out are legally responsible to pick them up. Obviously, there are probably a few that do disappear, sometimes through vandalism, sometimes through windstorms, but the reason that you see some of those styles is that they're a lot less expensive than the chloroplast signs, which have gone from $1 a piece to $5 or so at least. So just something to keep in mind. I know that isn't necessarily targeting any particular group, but it does impact how much people are spending on signs. I would personally like to see a little more enforcement of, you know, there is a notification spot on the sign that people are supposed to have information for contact information if signs are being left. So if there's an issue with signs disappear, you know, flying away or left over, you know, I'm fine with making sure we contact those people instead of them just ending up at, say, solid waste or something. So just a couple thoughts. Thank you.
And probably while we're on the sign thing, just a reminder, you do not put them in front of somebody's private business or their home if you do not have permission. Because what you're doing is you're putting a sign in front of their business or their home stating that it would appear that they're backing you. Now, if they give you permission, that's okay. So make sure you do that. And the other thing is they give you a list of where you're allowed to put signs and not signs. And one of the things I've noticed is that people are putting signs on the inside of the sidewalk wherever the business and stuff is. I think it specifically says, do not put them on the inside of the sidewalk. You can put them between the sidewalk and the road if there is lawn there, because you couldn't put it on the sidewalk because it wouldn't go through. But put it on, does that make sense? Is that clear on where it is? It's where the grass area is between the sidewalk and the road. You can put it there. All right. First Ann and then Jonathan.
Well, and just point of clarification, and I'm glad Sue's here because she might be a resource, but it's my understanding, because I'm struggling with, I have a lovely yard for signage, but there's a question of public right-of-way, I think. So technically, like for my house, which has that lovely location on Number 1 Pond, there's a portion of the yard that technically is like public right-of-way. It's in front of my property. And it feels disconcerting, perhaps, if somebody asks without permission to put a sign there, but I think technically it's in public right-of-way, which I had actually touched base with Sue at one point about, not for myself, but another person, and if it's in the public right-of-way in a grassy area in front of my house, I think they're allowed to put it there. It seems like bad form.
It is bad form.
Like it shouldn't happen, but, no, I don't. You could put your sign in my house.
I would have to look it up on the GIS and see right where that line goes. But I always think it's polite to ask.
100% agree with that.
Just to ask. It's pretty simple.
And in case anybody drives by Ann's property, I did ask and I got permission.
Yeah, and in fact, the year I ran, I asked Ann if I could put my sign there. Jonathan, you had a comment, and
So
Sue.
there is, on the state website, I forget exactly where it is, but there's rules around where you can and can't put signs. I have noticed that if signs are put in that really narrow strip between the road and the sidewalk, a lot of times they seem to get vandalized, or it could be just the wind from the cars.
Yeah.
But that particular spot, while it sounds like it might be good, generally doesn't seem like it works well. And to Ann's point, I haven't seen it specified, but personally, I would consider if it's somebody's property and not like city property, like a park or, an intersection or something like that, I would say just because the city has a right of way for whatever they need to do doesn't mean that it's okay to put signs there. So that's just my 2 cents. The legalese on that might be different, but I would agree with that.
Sue, do you have a comment to make? Didn't you usually hand out a paper or something that tells you where to go on, what website to go on to find out the rules about putting signs?
I do give the candidates a handout of the restrictions of where they cannot put signs. I do not tell them where they allowed to put them. Department of Transportation, Maine DOT, is the one who really polices that. And I recall a few years back, a resident had called that it appeared, even though it was close to the edge of the road, it was right at, like in the middle of his front yard area, that it portrayed that he was supporting the candidate's name on that sign, which he did not support, and wanted to know how to go about removing it. I said, well, he probably should have asked permission, but I'm not sure where the right-of-way is, so I reached out to Matt Hill at Public Works, and, well, that's a complicated question because you have the width of the road. From the center of the road, it's so many feet, and it's like, oh, Lord, yeah. So please, candidates, and check with people before you plant your signs if it is a residential area, and they don't belong in the islands of the roundabouts that we have in town. So Number 1 Pond down at the bottom of the hill from Hannaford, that is a roundabout, so no signage is allowed there. The one down in Route 4 and Main Street is not allowed there, not in the middle. I believe on the outside edge you can do that, but.
I suspect that if you put your sign in front of a business without the permission of said business, you not only lose all the votes from that business, you probably are being talked about, and you're probably losing a lot of votes beyond that. So it is, like we all have said, common courtesy, just ask. And for the most part, certain businesses will say yes. Other businesses will say, we don't do it for anybody. We want to stay out of it because it's our business and we're trying to invite all public in. And we want to be able to serve everybody. We don't want to get in the middle of politics. And that is a very true statement for a business. It's very different for residents, but it's a very true statement for a business.
And if I may, while we're on the discussion of elections and voting, I did finally receive my city ballots this morning. Officially have begun absentee voting. I had to set up in the lobby of the office this morning because we're short-staffed, and by myself locating up here meant one person would have been left alone during lunch hours, and I didn't want that to happen. So I did get a phone call from Ed Cormier, my warden from the last election. He, fortunate for me, unfortunately for him, is an FAA employee, which, because of the federal shutdown, is affected and not working. So I'm putting him to work here.
Good.
So we'll be up here tomorrow doing the voting up on the 3rd floor in the conference room, so.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Sue. That's excellent. All right. Oh, Jonathan?
Just question for Sue, since you do have ballots. Could we make sure we get a copy up on the website for an example ballot?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. Appreciate that. One
We're
other
really
thing, I
chatty
don't,
tonight.
I know. And I don't know if this would fall, maybe falls under a new agenda item, but I know we have the 2 properties for the new fire stations, and I drive by at least one of them pretty much every day, and they need to be mowed. So I'm just hoping that we can get that taken care of just a little bit. I mean, they are representing the city and, you know, an upcoming fire station, so we want to make it look like it's being upkept. So appreciate that.
Thank you, Jonathan. Pete?
Yeah, and I have a question. I keep getting calls about the addition to our naval fleet in the city of Sanford, USS Battleship that's on 109 across from somebody abandoned a boat, and it's been there all summer. And it's across.
I didn't see it when I was
Yeah, it's
there.
across from 109. I actually saw it today. Hunters go by there. You can see it getting smashed now, and it's a mess. It needs to be pulled out. I would like I'd like to know a plan for that one, just to remove it. It's a nuisance. It's right across from the McDonald's off of 109 by Sam Allen. It's going to the other side of the road, and it's been there all summer.
There's a new home on Emery Street, too.
Is that private property?
No, that is, it's a trail going in for all the hunters, right there.
Well, yeah, but it could still belong to
Okay,
a single
so-
person.
We can't remove something from
Can't
private
go on
property.
to private property.
Can we look into it and find out if there's something? Because it just looks like crap there. And it was abandoned with no trailer. It was just dumped, so.
I know it's been there all summer. I can't remember, I don't know if Jamie knows it's private property or not.
I have not looked into it.
Okay. All right. I think we
Thanks.
talked about it. But I know,
Jamie.
the only other thing I've noticed, I could probably tell you all privately, but there's some sort of home, like trailer home on Emery Street right now. At the bottom of the hill. Yeah, I don't know where that's come from. So it's bizarre what shows up every once in a while. But it's been there for several days now at this point.
Police department's been dealing with that consistently.
All right.
It's been moving.
It's been moving 2 inches?
Then had flat tires and had to wait for the tires to come. And yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I go pick someone up on Emery Street every day, so I see it every day. I'm like, what's happening here?
All right.